Welcome back. This is To Be Frank. On today's pod, we speak with an inspirational 33-year-old businessman and close friend of mine, Stefan Husanu. Stefan has built multiple businesses over the last few years in the UK, scaling to multi-millions of pounds, and his most recent venture, Pith Stem, specialising in the drop-top desk and innovative products going global. Stefan wasn't always this way. He's gone from a life of crime, being arrested 7 times, to turning over 7 figures. This isn't one to miss. If you want to upscale your life and improve, he proves you don't have to be the smartest person in the world. Tune in. Let's get straight into it. Take me back to Greece around 10 to 15 years ago.
10 to 15 years ago, 33.
Was life the same as it is now?
15 years ago, I was still in Greece. 10 years ago, I was here.
Okay.
Right. About 15 years ago, I would have been a late teenager. Let's start from a number. So at the age of 15, I probably dropped out of school. Started working, started trying to earn money in different wrong ways, got mixed up with all the wrong crowds, and decided that things were not going well. I was arrested many times. I could see that, and I knew that I hadn't taken a good path. And then when I turned 18, I found myself in a police cell, arrested for the 7th time, and that's when I decided that this is the last time. Like, if I get out this time, I'm off. And I had this idea in my mind that I would leave for London because I could speak some English from school. And it was, I knew that I needed to just completely leave so that I can rip myself out of all those circles of friends and the circles that I found myself in. And I had this idea of London. So I was like, I just packed a bag basically and came to London. And it's been a uphill struggle, and with all its beautiful ups and downs since then.
All the best stories are. So I didn't know 7 times. That's quite impressive, actually. Was it anything serious? Was you sort of going down a really bad path?
Yeah, really bad path.
Yeah, really bad path. I hear this quite a lot. And if anyone was to look at you now, they see this well-groomed, very put-together gentleman, which 33 years old, you've got the world is at your feet. You've got some awesome companies, and you've built what people see from the outside as something really impressive. And we'll get a bit more into that sort of in a bit. But something that really sort of like boils my blood nowadays, and I had a bit of an epiphany at the weekend, which I'll get into, is you can't really see the potential when you're that age. Like, you just kind of see the immediate thing in front of you, and it just seems like the easy thing. And people take the easy path, which isn't always the best path. And it sounds like, it's like that whole thing, like choose your hard. And whilst being in prison or being locked in a cell or getting in trouble, it's actually quite hard. It was the easy thing to do. And what you've achieved now is a complete different tangent. If you could go back, or at least talk to yourself when you was in school, like, what would you say? To 10-year-old, 12-year-old Stefan, what would you say to him?
I don't know. I mean, my life has been so mixed up for me to get to where I am now. I don't know if I could advise myself to get like a straighter route. Because I wouldn't really say, no, stick to school, go and do your college, the university. I wouldn't advise me to do that. So dropping out of school, I don't know if like the school system in Greece was designed like for kids like me. I was a bit impatient, probably got ADHD. It was... like, unless I was really interested in something, I wasn't able to just pay too much attention. So I don't think that me trying to go to university and like get a good degree would have done me any good. So, but what I would definitely say is like, don't do like really bad stuff that you will regret, and things that you will wish that you hadn't done before. That you wish that you hadn't done. But on the other side, like the fact that I went extreme then, it just completely pushed me extreme the other way. So it was like big slap on the face. Like, this is not cool. Like, don't do that.
Because of what you've achieved now, Do you think that's because you are smarter than other people?
No. Definitely not. No.
Do you think that's because you was given a better education than other people?
No. Definitely not.
So what is it? Why is someone over there who's got 12 A stars?
The only few things that I can say is I decided to sacrifice the comfort of right now for a delayed gratification. I decided by leaving Greece, I decided to just leave comfort, leave friends, leave everything, absolutely everything, all my circles, and just move to another country. How extreme is that? Like, not many people decide to do that, right? So for me, that was necessary. I needed to take that extreme action. I took that extreme action. And the first year in the UK was hell. It was absolute hell. I didn't know anyone. I just about managed to find work in construction. I was a labourer. I was earning £186.50 probably for most of the first year. And my rent for a single room was £95. The Oyster card for zones 1 to 4 was £36.50. All of my food for the week was below £20, and I was still managing to save £20.
Wow.
But that was year one. It was from, Greece is beautiful. Athens is beautiful. Whenever you want, you just jump in the car or with friends and you just go to the beach and, can have a good time. There's bars, there's coffee shops, there's left all that comfort and then came here. But by doing that, you're also taking everything a lot more seriously. So there is no fun, right? I've put myself in this situation, like this is hard, I need to make something of it. There's that, and there's also, I've always felt that I am indebted. I've got a debt. Like the fact that I did some bad stuff and like life gave me a second chance and I didn't end up in prison. I didn't end up maybe worse, dead. I have got friends that ended up in really bad places. The fact that I was able to have that second chance, I just didn't want to take it lightly. So I did, as a 20-year-old, I would say I had the mindset of a 40-year-old, as in like there was no fun. It was all just serious. Like it was all just work. And maybe that robbed me a little bit of my 20s party in Ibiza, things that other kids do. But on the other hand, it gave me a foundation of everyday wake up. Even when I was just working in construction as a steel fitter, earning maybe £12.50, £14.50 an hour. Back then, that was good money for me. Even then, I would come home after work and I would be like, okay, what am I doing today for these 2 hours that I have to push my life forward? And I would like look on Alibaba and try to see, is there anything from China that I can import? I can start an eBay account. It's funny.
I still do it to this day.
Do you?
Yeah, I still look at it. Like, what other little hustle? Like, I've got that bug.
Yeah. I started an eBay account called, and my wife just makes fun of me so much because that it was best_value_number 4_you, best value for you.
Oh, good one.
Every time she sees like a Chinese shop that has something for you, she always points it out and she always laughs at me.
Still though, did it work?
No. The only thing I did is I found these SSD hard drives, not hard, so there used to be HDD, so a hard drive, which was the disk, and then technology moved to an SSD. So the computers, you were able to take the hard disk, which was slow, and put a soft, I don't know what it's called, an SSD, which is a much faster
solid state drive.
Solid state drive, that's it. And I found these. They were labeled SanDisk. SanDisk is a big brand, probably. They were labeled SanDisk SSDs when like they first started coming out, and somehow I came across them, and I think I was buying them for £18 and selling them for about 70.
Oh wow!
Yeah, and I would go to work. I'd come home and then look at the orders that I had, and I'd pack them, take them with me to work, and then take them to the post office. Unfortunately, it ended quite quickly because the supplier, like I just lost the supplier. I then kept on messaging him. I bought a few. I think I bought like 200 or something. And then they were flying out. I would come home every day and I had like 4 or 5 orders, which was extra money on top of
It's your
the
whole
money
day's
that I was
wage.
earning. Yeah, and I was like, oh, this is so good. And then I wanted to buy more, and the supplier just disappeared.
I
like he
caught on
wouldn't.
to that one.
Yeah,
It happens though.
Maybe they weren't SanDisk.
Yeah, maybe,
I don't know.
maybe.
They said SanDisk on them.
Probably not. Probably
Yeah.
not SanDisk, but yeah, if it worked.
Yeah.
I think that's like what you've kind of touched on there. Like whilst you've made some really big, bold decisions and moves in your life, and one of my favourite books, which was the first sort of, I suppose, self-help kind of personal development book that I ever read, was James Clear's Atomic Habits. I'm not sure if you've read it or heard of it, but I highly recommend it to anyone listening.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things he mentions in there, and I was talking to a friend about this the other day, is your habits. But to make the change, most people think, right, okay, we're moving house, we're getting a new job. Once I'm settled in, then I will change something else because it's too much at once. But actually, it's the wrong way of doing things. And the reason why people sort of like find a complete new direction and path in life when they make a big change like what you did, like they completely uproot their whole lives, their friend circles, their family, the place they live, their job, their entire routine is a blank canvas. And if you come into it with the right intentions and the right mindset, which it sounds like you did, you have to recreate it all. But rather than re-allowing them bad habits, the stealing, the whatever, the hanging around with the dodgy people, the procrastination to seep back in, they restructure their entire day, their entire life, and they plan things out. And it's amazing what you can do. Because, like you said, you're not successful because you're the smartest person in the room. But you've developed these habits and almost like you felt indebted to do X, Y, and Z things. And a lot of the things you probably had to do, they're not rocket science. Some of it was probably just,
Nothing that I do is rocket science.
No, I try to explain this to
someone
people.
Someone else couldn't do.
So I've got like a Trello board to-do list, and I share it with everybody. And some of the things on there, like they're comical. It's just like go to the shop and pick up an onion or something, or clean out top drawer, my pants drawer, or something stupid. And it's on the same thing as email 5 business owners to buy their £2 million business. It's on the same list. And like my colleague in there, she looks at it and goes, like, "What is wrong with you, Frank?" I said, "Look, they're all just like, these things can't happen until that happens. You can't go take over the world if you don't make your bed. And these are all little things I need to do." And she's like, "Right, okay, I kind of get you." But do you operate in a similar kind of way?
Yeah, I have an Asana board, but I do separate those things, and I don't note like all the small bits. I kind of note the things that I have to get done. I have to do, like hiring, create the contracts, like things that are a bit chunkier. And I've separated them a little bit into like important and urgent, not important.
I've done that. Yeah, so yeah. I should clarify that they're on the same board, but not the same list. Yeah,
not the same list. Yeah. But I do put a lot of things there that if you looked at them, you'd be like, should that be on your to-do list?
He's running a multi-million pound business, and he's got their pick up X, Y, and Z from the shop or something stupid on there.
Yeah.
Can't think of any example.
But it's a reminder. But to touch on what you just said, what I would advise someone else to do is definitely, if you're finding yourself in a situation, so if you're like 18, 20, 25 years old, and you're finding yourself just like looping back into things in your life that you don't like, either, let's say, use an example of a friend. He's very much into football in Greece, and he's like one of their fanatics that go, and then they after a football match that go and they'll have fights and all of that, and he's kind of tried to get out of that many times, but he just finds himself back in there, and he's been arrested many times because of that. He's now a little bit in his 30s, but if you find yourself in any kind of situation that you're not happy with, even you just cannot get out of hospitality. All you seem to be able to do is just find waiter jobs or something, and you want more from your life. If you can, and if you can find the strength in you, just pack a bag and go. There's no reason why you wouldn't. If you're in your 20s, if you're in your early 20s or before, 18 years old, 17 years old, just go. Like, move to Australia, go somewhere else. Just completely change everything, because it's exactly what you said. It's all those small things that you don't realize, all the mini habits that you have that just bring you back into a place of just keeping you in that loop, and you're not able to move past that. And it might just be because it's Friday, you know, I've had a really long week, my manager's a bit of a knob, you know, all of that, and then Friday comes, I just want to go to the pub. Who do I go to the pub with? Oh, let me call George, let me call this, and then you just end up in the same week, just on repeat.
I've got a question on that as well, to be fair. So,
Jack's sort of question on this one.
Yeah, so you're saying obviously to people to just pack a bag, go. When you did it, did you have like a plan in place? Like, I'm going to get there, I'm going to do this is the first thing? Or is it just, if you're getting overwhelmed, is it just literally pack the bag, go, and put yourself in the deep end?
I think it's a theory that I was only able to put into words a little bit, like very recently, like in the last couple of years. But I had found myself in situations that gave me enough proof that I can get out of, like, I felt safe within me. Like, I knew that if my back's against the corner, I'll find a way without a plan. And I couldn't have a plan. I didn't know anyone in London. I didn't know anything. Picture this, in my bag. So I came with a suitcase. In my suitcase, I had a pan, a plate, a fork, a knife. Yeah. Because I didn't know where I was going. I had no idea. The only thing that I was able to do, my mum contacted someone that lived in London that she knew when she was 20. Like, bear in mind, she had moved to Greece and kind of cut ties with everyone. So somehow she found that number. And then that person said, yeah, I can, if you send me some money with Western Union, I can put a deposit for a room. When I walk from the station to my house, there's a barber shop and he's got a rooms to let sticker on the window. I can walk in and I'll let you know how much to send me, and I'll secure you a room. So that's all I had. I just knew that I had a room where I'm going. There was no plan. When I landed, luckily the barber was Cypriot, so I was able to speak to him in Greek. He showed me the room across the road, put my bag in, came straight out, and then I just walked to the left. And then any shop that I would see, it was a Sainsbury's local, it was a car wash, it was a restaurant, fish and chip shop. I would just go in and say, hey, just came to the UK, really broken English. I'm looking for a job. That was my plan. It was just throw yourself in.
Work?
And no, I didn't. None of those shops gave me a job, luckily. But that same person, because he lived nearby, I then went and saw him one day, and he gave me the CSCS book, which is the health and safety book, which you have to read to then pass a very basic health and safety test so that you can enter a construction site. So he gave me that, and then he gave me 3 numbers of agencies, and he said, ring them. So I read the book, and I booked a test for like in 2 weeks' time, and I called the agencies and I said, hey, I've just come to London, I'm looking for work. And they said, have you got your CSCS test? No, I don't, but I have it in like a few days' time. They said, yeah, pass your CSCS test and give us a call then. So I passed my CSCS test, and as I walked out the centre, I was still on the steps of the test centre, called the number. I was like, hey, I passed the CSCS test now. He's like, okay, do you know where Warren Street Station is? I was like, yeah, I had no idea. Yeah, I do. Okay, be there at 7:30 tomorrow morning. Cool. And like, that's how I started. But yeah, had I sat there and think about, oh, what am I going to do? What am I going to do this? I would have never left.
And at any point, did you get comfortable? At what point did you get comfortable? So this was, what year was this?
5th of August 2011 is when I came to the UK.
5th of August 2011. So it was a couple of weeks after that. This was going on.
Yeah,
so
a couple of weeks
a
after
few
that.
weeks. So 2011. So this is good, sort of like 12, 13 years ago, is it?
Yes, 15 years ago. But yeah, to add to that, I didn't have any money when I came here. So what I had in Greece was a Honda Civic. I sold that for 1,300 euros. I owed some money from the last time that I was arrested because I needed to pay for a lawyer and all that stuff. And I think I had something like 800 euros. By the time I wired the deposit for the room, and then when I came, I paid the rest, I think I was left with like £150. So 18 years old, £150. you've got to make it work.
So you didn't go out clubbing for a little while?
No.
No drinking, no partying, no clubbing?
No, and I was determined not to do anything illegal. So I was like, whatever happens, even if I don't have anything to eat, like I will stay on the right side of the line.
So you landed, you've not got a lot of money, you've found a place to sleep, and you've made one friend, kind of, the barbershop guy.
Yeah.
Now, at what point after that, so this was in 2011, when did you get or when did you sort of first think, I can breathe, like there's a little bit of comfort here? Was that when you got the job? Was that your first paycheck?
2017.
2017?
Yeah.
So you grafted for like 6 years straight?
Yes, but not in that way. Like, I was able to get a 1-bedroom flat probably in about 2014. That felt more comfortable. So I really quickly moved in construction. So I spent probably a year just at the very bottom, like the minimum wage, £6.8 when I first came, and then £6.12, £6.25 about there. But then after that, I would always just every day I would just pester everyone. I would pester the carpenters. Hey, what do you do? What do you earn? How did you get this? You know, what qualification do you need to do? Electricians, plumbers, everyone, plasterers, painters. I would just pester everyone, just trying to like move up a little bit and earn a bit more money.
Was that because you was just interested, and was you like that before? Or
I was
like,
hungry.
Yeah, was you hungry? You're like, I need to do this. I need to sap as much information as possible. Did you go out? Did you wake up in the morning and think, right, I want to learn this?
I woke up in the morning and I was like, how am I going to move to the next step? How am I going to earn a little bit more money? How can I move forward? Like, luckily, I ended up in construction. And construction is not great for many things, but what it does have is it has bigger salaries, bigger earnings than many other industries, and there's a lot of room for growth. So today you can easily earn as a trader of some sort. So if you have a trade and you're quite good at it, you can easily earn maybe £30 an hour. That if you run the maths, that comes to like 60 grand a year. It's very difficult outside of construction to earn that money. So what I knew is that I'm in an industry where I'm at the very bottom of what I can earn, and there's a lot of room for growth. I don't care where that is. You know, is that going to be? Am I going to be an electrician? I don't care. Does it pay more? Yes.
Yeah.
You know, can I get there? And it was just that mindset. And then I found a job that was paying £7.50 as a steel fitter's mate, and that was my in. So I went and spent almost a year there. Very quickly, I was basically doing what the steel fitters are doing. So they had a lot of agency guys, and they would just change them. And because I was there and I learned the job, it was a steel fitter working with a mate. And very quickly, I was a mate, but I had my own mate. And then they paid me a little bit more. I stayed there until the end, and then when I finished that job, I asked from the supervisor for a reference, and I asked him to write down that I was a steel fitter there. And then I also faked a reference, and I called an agency. They said, send us references. I sent them the 2 references, and then they put me they gave me a job somewhere else. And then I spent probably 6 to 8 months in that place. That's when I realized that I'm not a steel fitter. Like, I didn't know what I was doing. I knew that job and I knew, everything there, but getting thrown on a different project with different things, I didn't know what I was doing.
So you're still not the smartest person in the world at this point.
Nope.
Yeah, no, and you're still kind of a little bit, lost is probably a good way of describing
no plan,
it. Yeah, you still got no plan, and I mean, I know your story, so I kind of know where it goes from there. And shock horror, like most good stories, very, very rarely a one big lottery win moment. There's a few nice wins in here and there, and as you get bigger, all of a sudden, the ad hoc wins become bigger, but then so do the losses, so do the painful moments, which we'll dive into. But again, like, this from where you started, to then becoming the mate, to then becoming a fitter, then becoming like, I suppose, a subcontractor. Yeah, you was a subcontractor, and I suppose then that's when you started sort of like hiring other people part-time and scalping a couple of quid an hour off of their time, but managing the process, giving them their work, packaging it up and being a middleman. So how
exactly
long?
That.
Yeah. So how long was it before you decided? You know what? Actually, I've showed intuition and developed a bit of a relationship with these dudes at the top that have got the money. I can probably go to them. They trust me enough now to sort of go, look, I'll sort this out. You need another one? Don't worry, I'll sort it out.
Mm-hmm.
And this is easy. And when it happens, you're like, oh, this doesn't feel right. Like this is almost too easy. It's not rocket science, is it?
Yeah, no, not rocket science. But I saw that before I did it. So I was like, I was on a site and I was working for an agency, and I think it was actually on that second site where I went as a steel fitter. So my first steel fitter job, I was on £12.75, and then the subcontractors were on £22. So I was like, what? Hang on a minute. There's this massive jump that's available. And I was like, what do they have? And they were just two guys, and they had a van and a toolbox. And they weren't particularly great. They were not the most motivated. Like, they knew how to do a lot of stuff, but they didn't want to do anything. They were just like passing work on and just trying to get the end of the day with doing the least amount possible. So I was like, well, at least if I'm eager and I've got that set up, I can earn that money, and there will be some demand for me because they're not like, that's my competition, right? So if they're working here, then I can do better than that. I didn't know how to do better than that then, but I was very quick at learning. And construction, for the most part, is not rocket science. There's not that many very difficult things to learn. Like, you learn the tools. There's a few more advanced things with like lasers and datums and grid lines and reading drawings. But again, like, a doctor would look at that and laugh. Like, many professionals would look at that and be like, yeah, I've seen it twice. I know how to do it. And that was the attitude that I had. I've seen it twice. I've done it the first time wrong. The second time, I was more directionally correct. The third time, I know how to do it. And so that's when I saw that, the subcontractors there and more. And then from there, I just wanted to be, okay, how do I become a subcontractor? I didn't even have a driving license. So start with that. I knew how to drive because in Greece I would drive, but I had a car, but I didn't have a driving license. So I started with that. I got myself a driving license. That was a bit of a process. Took a few months, and then for another year I was working somewhere else. Then I got a van and a toolbox and a mate, and I was able to do it.
It's a slow burn. Like, there was no overnight wins, was there? It's just like, chip away constantly, keep prodding the bear, keep adding little things to your roster, keep learning new things, and eventually you kind of like, you're in a different position to that you was before. Mm-hmm. But one thing I wanted to ask you about, because I feel like this is something you've probably done quite a lot, and we spoke about it with the, you sort of upping and leaving from Greece and coming over to live in this country. I would say that was a reinvention of yourself. You didn't know what the outcome was going to be, but you knew you had to reinvent yourself, to change your entire life. You have to change your entire life. Mm-hmm. And that's something that scares me, I think, to this day. It scares a lot of people. That holds people back sometimes more than like the fear of failure is the fear of success. Like, what does success mean to them? And what do they have to give up? What do they have to change to get it? And that's what holds them back more. So that was one kind of big reinvention. But I would imagine there's probably been one or two since then. Can you fast forward to a point where that you know there is a point in your life where you've had to just go, I'm reinventing myself? I can think of, when I walked out of my company that I used to work for 8-9 years ago, I was just employed. And that was a massive upheaval of everything. I was employed for 3-4 years, and I just left with nothing. I had a car that was on finance. When I sold it, I just didn't pay the finance off and kept the money. So I was actually in debt still. And I just used that money to start my company. That was one key moment, and I've probably had one or two since then. Is there anyone that's to you that springs to mind that was just like, shit, this needs to change if I want to get to where I want to go?
Yeah, several. Many times. Life, I think, for me at least, it's constantly reinventing who I am and who I can be. So when one small time when I then stopped being, so I had already probably put together 4 or 5 teams, so about 8, 10, maybe 12 guys working for me. So for me to then go into the next step, I needed to stop being a supervisor on site or for those guys and just step out and lose the income, because the way that would work, the way it worked was I would earn, say, £250 for me, plus, say, £20 per guy. So now I would lose that £250 and I would only have the £20 per person as the company income. So my income to pay for my rent and the bills, plus leave a little bit there for the company growth so I can hire more people.
About £1 to £2 million turnover at that point, maybe a little bit less.
No, less. Yeah, it would have been less. Yeah, so 10. Anyway, it was probably far less. It was probably in the low 300,000 to 400,000 with that many guys.
So we're talking about this. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so that was one reinvention. So me step out, start working from home, start working on the business. I'm no longer a supervisor. I'm now more of a entrepreneur, more of a, okay, I'm building something. This is becoming real. Also, I only had one key client that would take guys from me. And it was very difficult to manage. So I stepped out with the hope that I'll find more clients. And it was, again, difficult for a year, made it work, LinkedIn, other things. That was once reinvent myself and stop seeing myself as a still fitter / supervisor with a few guys to, okay, I'm now building a business. Then during COVID, when everything slowed down, we were probably doing 2-3 million in turnover then. And I had a bit of a team. So I had someone in accounts and I had someone as a project manager, and we were working together. We were like running this thing, and there were about 50 guys on site. But then COVID hit and it gave me the time to slow down. That's when I started seeing again that, okay, I've now reached another glass ceiling, that what I started and what I built, this construction company, was what I was able to start back then, like in 2014, 15, when that's all I knew. But now, 5-6 years later, I understand business. Now I know what a P&L looks like. Now I know what profit and loss. I know why. I understand why we have a lot of money on a spreadsheet, no money in the bank. Like, I understand these things. I know how to hire people. I know how to show them the dream, the progress, where we're going. I understand these things. Can I do something else? Like, I started feeling a little bit stuck. So then I reinvented myself again, and I started this manufacturing / direct-to-consumer company that I'm running now. And that was a complete shift, because from running a lot of people, I took all the bad things that I didn't like about that business now, and I started a business that sells a product on repeat. We market it and we just sell that product. A lot less people, bigger turnover, a lot easier, a lot easier to scale. So what I had then was a company that you couldn't scale. It was a business that to scale you had to crank faster. Yeah, crank faster, crank harder. So I wanted something that doesn't require cranking so that it scales.
I hope there's some context on this podcast. I hope I can jump in now. So are you talking about Pith and Stem?
Yeah, talking about Pith and Stem now.
We'll get into. So we've kind of like leapfrogged a few bits there, but to summarise, you started subcontracting, grew that, and it's turned into a company essentially. And that company grew, but I've seen it, and I'm working in a similar industry, like construction-based. You're relying on skilled guys to turn up to a site that you can't control with equipment that is all over the place, and it's just hard work. Like no business is easy, because if anything was really easy, everyone would be doing it, and then it wouldn't be easy. So they're all difficult, but
every business looks easy from the outside.
Every business looks easy from the outside.
That has been my experience.
Every business, and as well, the more you learn, because it's like I've learned this, I've learned that. The more you realise that you don't know. Because you'll learn something about payroll, you get involved in that, and all of a sudden it's like there's a whole like rabbit hole of stuff that you just don't understand. It's like, yeah, we'll leave that to the accountant, and you kind of realise like you just need to be you need to be a jack of all trades, but then like a master of yourself, I think, because you can't, like in my experience anyway, I don't feel like you can continue growing the business or your business without growing yourself.
Yep, 100%. Like you are the business until you reach enough velocity that the business is its own entity. You are the business. So the limiting factor of the business is you.
It is
you. Yeah, you growing, you seeing, being exposed to other entrepreneurs, seeing what's possible, listening to other people's stories on podcasts, on reading biographies and getting specific on skills and learning those skills, like people management skills, for example, right? Managing an employee, like that's a limiting factor. So if you don't get better at that, you will not be able to have multiple employees that can come to a place of work where they have the right everything in place so that they can flourish.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So what would you say is the next glass ceiling for you? Because you've got some velocity now. I mean, I don't know about escape velocity, but you're shifting. If you want to talk about numbers and where the business is now to give some context, feel free. But you're going to hit a ceiling at some point because that's just how business and life is. What do you think it's going to be?
I think I'm too far from it to be able to tell. I think there's a lot of room for growth right now, and the limiting factor was we make these wall-mounted desks, and they're manufactured in the UK. We manufacture them in-house.
Jack, make sure you put a little video of our one that's Stefan sitting beside. There's literally
one
in the
right
corner.
here.
There's a beautiful little black. What one's that, Stefan? Is that
That's the single 34.
It's the single 34.
Single
so make sure we get a
34.
little shot of that in the video.
Drop top single 34. Use Stefan 10 for a 10%. I'm joking. We don't do discounts.
We don't do discounts.
So the limiting factor was the amount that we're able to produce a day. So that was through how much space and CNC machinery we have and how many people we are able to put into the factory, but also how efficiently we were able to do it. So we were not very efficient. We were not making enough profit per desk, essentially, to be able to grow at a fast enough rate. So I had to hire someone that's an expert that is much smarter than me. Definitely on that field, and he's now transforming the place, and we're seeing amazing improvements. So the quality of the product never suffered. What happened was we would throw a lot more. We would have a lot more waste. There was stuff in every department that was just inefficient. So because we had the zero tolerance for anything, a lot would end up in the skip, which means a lot of lost profit and making them a lot slower. That was the limiting factor. We are now moving into a much, much bigger factory. And with the systems that we are adopting and creating, we will be able to go from basically 20 drop tops a day made to 200. So
wow.
I'll then need to go from selling 20 a day to selling 200 a day. So that's the ceiling's quite high. And then
that's
full
reinvention at that point. Everything, like the view, the company, the process, the procedures, the people, the logistics, everything. That's a full change. That's just 10x.
Yeah. Well, that starts in 6 weeks.
Really?
Yeah.
And how quick do you sort of expect to go from? I mean, what are you doing nowadays? Can you talk about that?
We do about 30 a day now. So we were doing 20 a day only 2 months ago. So we went from 20 to 30, and there's room for a little bit more in that facility. But as soon as we move,
you start to stretch the seams though when you get too close, and actually, going from 30 to start doing 40, it can actually become less profitable. You start over trading with what you're comfortable with.
Yeah, it's a little bit different in where we are because we were so inefficient. So it's just gaining more efficiencies through things that the manufacturing manager is able to change there. But the problem that we had is we were not able to actually take the sales. So we just had to increase the lead times to now being at 10 to 12 weeks. So if you buy a drop top now, you don't get it for 3 months. That puts a lot of people off. So we're losing really a lot of sales
because people just assume that you're drop shipping them from somewhere.
Yeah.
It's probably what
people, it's the Amazon mentality, isn't it? Like you buy something, I press buy, why is it not here?
Yeah.
Right. You expect it next day. You expect it there and then. Same day. Amazon offers same day for a lot of things.
It's not a bad problem to have because, you're a victim of your own success. Like the reason you can't keep up is because, you're improving, we get an extra 5 a day, but then all of a sudden you're selling an extra 10 a day. And it's like, so you still pushed it back further.
But we owe almost 1,000 desks right now.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. I mean,
that's that lead time. But so that was the problem. So the problem was a very good problem to have, but we can't make them fast enough. Now we're going to move into a new facility. The lead times in around August, September will come down, so that will push sales up a lot. So I think even changing nothing, the sales doubled very quickly. But we have so many things that we have been holding back on, like so many things in marketing that we know that are available to us, and we've got everything in place and they're just ready to go. So as soon as we move and we have all this capacity available to us, we will just deploy.
You must be twitching to get it going.
I can't wait. I can't wait.
I'm getting excited for you.
I'm like, it's got to the point in these last few weeks where the weekends are boring. Like, I just can't wait to go back on Monday.
You can't deploy that marketing now anyway, because if you did, you're going to cause yourself a 5-6 month wait.
We can't. We're holding back on so many things in marketing. And when I say marketing, it's just showing to people what we do, like just showing to people the product in like at a bigger scale.
There's no way around. If anyone's listening and they think they've got some bright idea that knows Stefan or doesn't know Stefan, and they want to tell him how to fix his life and fix this fantastic problem he's got, feel free to reach out.
It's 6 weeks away. 6 weeks away, and we've solved it for now. But yeah, that the question was the glass ceiling. So I've kind of, I know that we're going from 30 now, but 30 to 200 a day. And then I already have the next 2 ready. So then going from 200 to probably 6 to 1,000 a day, I already have the plan for that. So the ceiling is quite far in how many we can deliver.
200 is outrageous. I mean, do you think there's demand for it?
We generate the demand. I think the product is amazing. If you run the numbers and you see how many people work from home that would need a product like that don't know that something like that is available, or that maybe have seen it but they're not too sure. A new product, a new technology, if you like, there's an adoption lag, because we have to understand what does that say about us. So I see the practical side of it. What does it say about me? Are other people like me, do other people like me have a product like that? So solving those things will generate the demand, will create the market. There's so many things. Like, we have partnerships that we haven't touched. There's so many products that appeal to the same
there's so many
customers.
Avenues,
there's so many avenues.
I see it myself, and you've got so many avenues you can go down. But like you said, if you can't keep up with demand, you don't want to let people down. We've had the same problem ourselves in the past, where actually we've got so much work coming in, I just didn't have the facility to take it on. There's just a few kind of key bits missing, and it's like, we need this new machine, we need the new people, we need the new vehicle, we need a bigger yard, and you have to make sure that all of like your stars align at the same time.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, to answer your question, I would say no, the demand is not there now, but we can generate the demand. The product is amazing. Like, the customers that get the product can't stop talking about it, and that gives me confidence. When I jump on a call to customers and they tell me, "Oh, I bought this, I love it so much, I keep on telling all my friends about it, everyone at work, and so has bought one, and my cousin bought one, and I had people around for Easter, and my brother-in-law saw it and he bought one." Like, when you get that feedback, when you know that one drop top that goes out does the marketing for you, so 2 other people, 3 other people are buying it every time there's a gathering, you know that there's definitely a lot of room for growth. And it doesn't, it's not a gimmicky product. It's a product that solves a real problem.
I love it.
There's not many things that money can buy right now that will change your life so much. If you're the person that works from home from a dining table, or has a little desk in the corner of the room that takes up space 24/7, 365 days a year there, and you're only working on it once, twice a week, or you may be working on it too much, there's not many products that will change your lives like so much that money can buy.
No. I mean, and I think for us as well, like it was such a nice little addition to here, because it's sleek, it blends in. There's so many different options available. It's pictures, your custom prints, the whole lot. And I think the hardware as well that you put in it, you don't cut corners. It's not a cheap product. You're not trying to be cheap.
Yeah, no.
It's just
we could have made it cheaper.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
We could have made it cheaper. We could have drop shipped it. We could have had 2 models. You fit your own screens. You try to put a picture on the outside if you can. You do whatever you want. But it will be cheaper, and we can sell a lot more. But we just chose that's not what we want to do. We don't want to add to the landfill mentality. We just want to create something that people will consider. They'll see if that's for them, and when they buy, they can just enjoy it for decades.
We'll make sure we get the link in the description of all of our podcasts. And people, if you want to go check it out, go check out Pith Stem's Drop Top. So, right, we are a little bit way through the pod, and we thought we'd be trying something different on these last couple. This section of the show is called One Guest, Two Cups. You're laughing at. So I don't know what's in the cups. He's briefly told me, but I didn't listen. I'll let you choose. You pick a cup. I mean, we can do one from each if you like. I think probably one of them's a probing question. So it's up to you. You can pick one. You can read me one out as well if you like.
I'll pick one for you.
You're going to pick one for me? Oh, shit.
Pink is your favorite color, so we went with pink. When was the last time you felt properly out of your depth, like you'd blagged your way into a room you didn't belong in? My answer is yesterday, today, tomorrow. Yeah.
It's just that whole thing about reinventing yourself, and I think Richard Branson made this coined it quite famous when he's just say yes and figure it out later. I do that. I mean, I used to do that all the time. I still do it now. So I think in them instances, I'll try and think of one in a second, is where, and my colleagues, I use Emma as an example. Emma's my sort of accounts department. She's very, very risk adverse. And she will ask me questions that I don't even know the answer to, but my moral gut instincts will just take me in a direction. And I'll just listen to it and I'll go with it. But she's like, but you haven't done it. You don't know about that. We haven't done this before. I'm like, yeah, I know, but we'll learn it. So I think in them instances, when I get questioned about you don't know this, I know you don't know this. We've never done this before. What makes you think you can do it? I was like, well, he can do it. How hard can it be? We're all human. I can learn. Technology now is unbelievable.
Exactly. In the age of AI.
Oh, I love it.
You don't know how to do something, just ask Claude.
Exactly. I could do a whole podcast plan on it. I could literally, you can answer anything on it. And if it's a technical question, Claude has probably got the answer, and it's probably better than most professionals anyway. So I would say them kind of instances. I mean, we've recently just signed the line on $100,000 loan, an unsecured loan. And we got the bounce back loan, but that was almost like a gimmick back then. The interest rate was so low, it didn't really matter. Now I think the interest rate is probably 9%. And to the business, the $100,000 isn't that big, but it was made to seem really big and serious. It's taken us 6 months to get it. It was crazy. And the amount of paperwork we had to fill out, personal guarantees, debentures, the whole lot, because we didn't want it against any assets, because we just want to be able to spend it on anything. And I felt a little bit out of my depth there, because I'm reading through these pages and pages of documents, we're going to come take your house off you if you don't pay it. I'm thinking, this is scary. But then I'm thinking, it's $2,000 or whatever it is a month. And I'm paying $18,000 a month in other bits and pieces that it doesn't even come onto my radar. I don't even think about it, because it's just slowly accumulated over time. And we're selling lorries. I was like, we could just sell a van or a lorry and it'll go away. But it's a different mindset. So I don't really look at it as, I look at it as an opportunity. These things where I feel out of depth, I'm like, wow, if I feel out of depth here, I'm pretty thick-skinned. So many other people must feel out of depth here. So let's run with it. Let's have fun with it, because a lot of people won't be doing it. And I find myself in them situations a lot. I don't know about if that's the same with you.
Same. Yeah. I think you asked me if I was the smartest. I'm not, but I am brave. I just embrace things like that. I'm stupidly brave / stupid sometimes. So yeah, I adopt the same mentality. I have that mentality. It's just, okay, fine, this planet is made for humans by humans, right? So humans can be, I'm not saying that I'll be able to make the atomic bomb better or split the atom or anything like that, but for anything that is near me, just as you said, everything's figure outable. I'll figure it out.
But if you dedicated 20 years of your life to it, you probably could.
Yeah, if I dedicated 20 years of my life, I still don't think I'm smart enough.
Well, maybe not.
I have Claude.
But the only reason then people manage to do it is because they dedicated and obsessed over whatever it is they had to obsess over to get to it.
If you asked me 5 years ago if I would be able to have an Instagram page like what we have a website like what we have, understand marketing to the depth that I do today, I'd say I'm not smart enough. Like, I'd say, no, I won't be able to do that. But it's exactly as you said, if you dedicate enough time and you fail, you get up, you dust yourself off and you just keep going, you can't fail.
And if someone said to you back when you was in Greece or when you moved over here, oh yeah, you're going to spend a large portion of your life making desks and you're going to love it. You go, what?
Yeah, I'd go, no.
You go, no.
Look, if someone told me in 2020 that I would start this company and I would be making a loss for 5 whole years, so it would take me up to October of 2026 to make profit, to have the first profitable month, I would have said no again. I said there's no way it's going to take so long, and I would have never done it.
Did you know it was going to take anywhere near that long?
As I said earlier, everything looks easy from the outside. How difficult can this be, right? And naivety is a superpower. You only have that when you're young. I think after that you've had but it actually took 5 years to break profit. So then you kind of lose that naivety, but it is a superpower.
But how quickly did that time go?
Yeah, really quickly.
So I mentioned at the beginning that I had a bit of an epiphany, a bit of a realization or existential crisis over the weekend.
Sorry, October of 25, not 26.
25.
We're not there yet.
Yeah, we're not there yet. I had a bit of an existential crisis over the weekend. So back when I was 13, 14 to 16, I was in the Air Cadets, Royal Air Force Cadets. And it was the best thing I've ever done in my life. Like, I want to make it mandatory for my kids to go join something similar to that. It was just the opportunities, I didn't realise it at the time, were incredible. I get to go, I flew planes, I had to go in gliders, I got to shoot guns all over the country, done sort of like staying away in military camps. I thoroughly enjoyed it. And I kind of decided then, my dream job, and I still think about it now, is like, if I got to fly fighter jets for the Air Force, how cool would that be? And a bit like you, I didn't really get the grades. I didn't really knuckle down in school. I was too blasé. I wasn't misbehaved, but I just didn't really conform, if that made sense. So I just kind of told myself, well, it's not going to work because I don't really like listening to orders. And I don't really want to do the academic side of things. I don't want to go to sort of sixth form. And I didn't have the direction. I didn't create the direction, or I didn't decide on one. So I just kind of like drifted, and that's a dangerous thing in itself. But I went to this air show at the weekend, and I see these Eurofighter Typhoons doing the flips and everything, and going like 700 mile an hour across. And I was just like, wow. I wonder what it would, if I wanted to reinvent myself now, could I do it? If I wanted to just say, do you know what? Sell the company, get a few $100,000 maybe, if I'm lucky, maybe a bit more, or keep it running and just get it to a point where it runs itself and become a fighter jet pilot, could I do it? And I looked, nope, the age cutoff is 24. Mm-hmm. And it took me back a little bit. I was like, wow, I feel more capable now than I've ever done, in terms of like the way I look after myself mentally. You grow up. But there are deadlines to things. And there are opportunities that do kind of come and pass. So I think to sort of like the younger people, if you carried on going down that route you was going down, not to say that it's impossible, but to stand up, get on a plane, come fly over here, there's things that would have happened in 15 years You might have had a kid. You might have met someone. You might have had an accident. You might have got like a really bad criminal record where you can't actually emigrate or move to a different country.
Yeah,
you know, like if you get,
I've got a lot of. I know a lot of people that are stuck there because of that.
Yeah. It's happened to sort of family members of mine. They wanted to go to America on holiday, couldn't go. Wanted to go to Australia, wasn't allowed to go. So there are sort of like things, and if you do wait too long, other things get in the way. So it's not like it's impossible, but it's just, you know, to reinvent and give up that life you've got becomes a lot harder. And looking at it now, I'm like, wow, I couldn't do it. That's just not an option for me anymore. It's just completely off the table. So I think that's something to take away. But no, that is interesting. Should we do the blue cup? Should we see what's in the blue cup? I'll do one for you. I'll read this one out for you. Right, so what we got here. Have you ever had to fire someone or walk away from a partnership? What did that teach you? It's quite vanilla, but there's probably one or two that spring to mind.
I've never had to walk away from a partnership. Fire someone, yeah, for sure.
What was the first time you fired someone? How did it feel?
Because the construction companies, the metalworks company, was very labor heavy. I've had to do it like a lot. It's construction, self-employed. You know, you've got projects. You need to expand. Then a project comes to an end. You need to let people go. So I wouldn't really count those, but I would count more like office employees. And I would say I hired for the right reasons. I didn't offer that person the right. I didn't offer them the right environment, but also I didn't choose the right person. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if I would be able to offer a different environment. It's just that taking that person, putting them in that environment, that was the wrong choice. So the choice was right for we needed like that role. That role was what the business needed, but I didn't choose the right person for that environment. So that person would be probably amazing in a different environment, but the environment was a startup, messy. We don't know, like we're figuring things out. There's no point of creating a lot of like systems and documenting and like planning. The most important thing to do is just act, learn. You know, this didn't work, that didn't work. That kind of worked a little bit. Let's go back to that. And then that person was more like, okay, well, let's plan. Let's go to a big detail and see exactly what we're gonna do. But by the time we had the plan finished, we had already moved on.
Yeah,
it was just that. So I have a lot of experience in hiring people. But yeah, that was definitely a takeaway from it. It's not
perfect. There is collateral when you sort of describe, and sometimes it's really painful because actually it's your fault. Sometimes
I think just like in every relationship, right? It never is just one person's fault, right? Even if in the worst case scenarios, like someone ended the relationship because they were cheated, whatever. Even then, it's never just one person's fault.
No.
It's the environment wasn't right. I made a lot of mistakes. I pivoted too quickly. I was like, yeah, let's try that. And then the next day I was like, no, drop that. Let's do this. All of those things, which startup environments have, but they could have definitely been done better.
So we're rounding up there. I want to ask you one more question before we do sign off. If this was the last conversation you ever get to have, I hope it's not. If this was the last conversation you ever get to have, what would you want to get out there into the world?
See, I was thinking over the weekend what I would advise my younger self, because that's a question that I was asked a few times, and I never actually had an answer. That I never spent the time to think about, okay, what would I advise myself, my younger self? So yeah, I was thinking about that over the weekend, and I would say enjoy every phase of your life. So when you're single, you want to be in a relationship, right? So you're like, oh yeah, look, all my friends have got, they're in relationships and they're going on holidays together. They do these things. When you're in a relationship, you think back and you're like, oh, look at all these single people. They're going to Ibiza, they're partying. They're doing all these things. When you're employed, you're looking at the people that are running their own businesses and thinking like, oh, look at that. It's a Wednesday. He's not having to go to work. He's going and filming a podcast. How cool is that? When you're running a business, you're looking at the people that have got a stable job and they can just be on the tube and just play a game. Like, I can't do that. Like if I'm on the tube, I'm reading something, I'm educating myself, I'm like reading emails, responding to messages. So I have been single. I lived more in the future of, it would be nice if I was in a relationship. I didn't necessarily enjoy it enough. I had the job, but I was always in the future, I want to I want to do this, I want to do that.
What do you yearn for now? Like, from my perspective, you've got a beautiful wife, you moved house, you've got a fantastic companies.
Beautiful dog.
Yeah, beautiful dog. What's your dog's name?
Chester.
What do you kind of look at now and think?
So many things. I think that's a...
Comparison is the thief of joy, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a human, like, we've all got it in us. We're never settled. So the default state is slightly unhappy. So the default state is not content. It's just below that. So if you had like 5 levels, so you go from 0 to 5, as in how you take in emotions. So 0 is I'm just okay, and then 1 happy, 2 happy, 5, my wife just gave birth and I'm holding my baby, 5, or whatever that is. Our default state is -1. It's just never 0. To get to 0, you need to do something. So I think that's part of why we're always looking and like we're always unhappy. But
not everybody's wired like that. I say this to people. No. I like, yeah, but then it goes a different way. I think it's how you deal with it. But I say this to people all the time. I go, if I'm comfortable, I get uncomfortable. I start getting anxious and agitated if I'm too comfortable. Like you said, scrolling or sitting there just being a couch potato. If I'm stationary for too long and not moving forward like a shark, I'll start to get really irritable and I have to keep moving. But look, we'll round it up there because this has been absolutely awesome. We've gone on for an hour. This is fantastic. Stefan, if people want to find you, where can they find you?
They won't be able to find me.
Yeah.
So no.
If they want to buy a drop top, where do they go?
Yeah, so pithandstem.com or just look up Drop Top Desk on Google. You'll find us. We put out a lot of content, so you'll find us. Pith and Stem on Instagram or Drop Top on Instagram, you'll find us. But I haven't done a lot with my personal account. I will start very, very soon doing some more content and showing people behind the scenes, because I think, again, indebted, like what I was fortunate enough to be able to enjoy. I think there's a lot of lessons in that, and we're about to go through a big growth phase, and I would like to show people behind the scenes and what's happening and how we're doing it. So at Stefan Husanu on Instagram in a couple of months.
Brilliant. Thank you very much.